All right, so let's start with you introducing yourself.
My name is Tito Campbell. Tito Campbell.
Um, so Tito, where you originally from? Kind of what areas you grow up?
So I grew up in a place called Kankakee, Illinois. Everybody here now, you hear it in the King Von song. But yes, K3, Illinois, right outside Chicago.
Okay. Um, how did you end up here in Minnesota?
At 14, 14, almost 15 years old, man, we were on our way to going from the junior high to the high school. And at that time, it was a lot of things going on. Like we were off the porch very early in our childhood. So by that time, people started playing with guns and things of that nature. And I always had a dream about playing college football, man. And honestly, I sat on my grandmother's porch one day, man. It just felt like I'm like, man, I don't feel like I'm gonna make it this summer.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't even like a couple hours after that, my auntie pulled up, and she was like, "I'm going to see your dad up in Minnesota. You want to go?" I was like, "Yeah."
You ever been in Minnesota before that?
Never been to Minnesota before that. So yeah, I came up to Minnesota then. Okay. And that was in 19. No, actually, I had been up in Minnesota. I came up in 89 when I finally moved up here in 91.
Oh, okay. So you came and you just never went back.
No, I came in 91 I came and stayed. 89 I came up here and I just visited for the summer over north. And then I came back to Illinois.
So how was like your parents and kind of your relationship with them? Were they married or anything like that?
No, they was not married. They were childhood sweethearts. I'm a product of two young adolescents having their first experience with sex.
Mm-hmm.
My mom was 15 when she had me, so she was 14 when she got pregnant, and my dad was 15 or 16 when he had me, so he was 15 when she got pregnant. And back in those days, your little fast butt gonna lay down and do what you was gonna do, grown stuff, and you gonna have this baby too, and
Mm-hmm.
you gonna raise it. So yeah.
What about any siblings?
Yeah, I'm the oldest, so I got a few siblings. I got three younger brothers and two younger sisters. I had another younger brother. He passed away when we were young, and that was from my dad's side. So he passed away when I was probably like, say, 12, 13.
What about the remainder? Are you close to them?
Oh yeah, I'm big bro. So I'm big bro. I'm close to all of them. I would say I'm their favorite too.
Yeah, big bro's always the favorite.
Well, because they can always ask big bro for whatever he got. If he got it, he gonna give it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So describe kind of your childhood. Just kind of some things that you went through. What was growing up as Tito like?
Man, growing up, I would say, man, I experienced a lot at a young age. Uh, Even now to this day, you know what I'm saying, I can recall memories when I was like 4, 5 years old, like vividly, and I'd be shocking my mom, she just passed, but I'd be shocking when she was here. I used to shock them about what I could remember. And they like, well, how you remember that, boy? And I don't know, it was a good, I had a good upbringing, any urban kid, with a lot of cousins, I mean, a lot of cousins, a lot of friends. I stayed right across the street from the projects. So, you know, there was a lot of things going on from good, bad, and in between. Uh, Sports was big. Competition was even bigger. Like, you know, so, I mean, I don't know, you know, if you had growing up having a lot of family members that are men, excuse me, and boys, you know, everything was a competition to us, from who can get the most girls to, you know, who was the first to do this or who was the first to do that, who could drive a car first. So, you know, I was driving at 10 years old.
Oh wow.
Yeah, by myself in the car on the highway. Yeah, just out there.
So after kind of childhood, going into high school, kind of what kind of kid were you in high school? Did you get into any type of major trouble in those years?
You know, I'm gonna say this, man. I was very good at not getting caught. Very good. I always got good grades, so I was smart. You know what I'm saying? You know, even without effort, you know what I'm saying? I made the honor roll one time, just messing around. But I always played sports though, so I always wanted to be eligible to play football. That was my thing in that aspect. And so in high school, you know, by the time high school came around, I was living here, and my mom, she lived out in Richfield, so I was going to school out in Richfield, and then on the weekends I was over north with my pops now. And you can see, like, you know, it was like, you know, on one end out in the field I was a good boy, and then, you know, over north I was, you know, just a little wild adolescent, you know, not causing too much harm, but, you know, just having fun as we thought it was.
So just kind of think about, you know, your childhood, high school, and just kind of them early years that, you know, are so important. Is there anything that happened kind of early on that kind of changed you kind of to who you are?
Yeah, it did. I mean, it was a few things that happened, you know, that you know, kind of cultivated, you know what I'm saying, who I was and now who I've become. Uh, you know, growing up, you know, I spent time going back to Illinois, now back to Kankakee. I spent time. I was, like I said, I was born in Illinois, but my mom, she got married when she was 18, and so my mom is, you know, uh, 15 years older than me. And by the time I was 4 years old, we moved out to New York. She met my youngest brother from my mom. She met his dad. He was from Kingston, Jamaica. And as you know about Jamaicans, they can be pretty strict, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, he was I could call him. He was Jekyll and Hyde, man. He was Jekyll and Hyde. You know, in front of, you know, my mom. My mom is the only girl out of 7 kids, so she got 6 brothers.
Oh, okay.
You know, and so this is all she knew, and her brothers were all, you know, alpha males. Um, so, you know, around family, he was one way, and then when he got my mom secluded out in New York, you know what I'm saying, he turned into another person. You know, very strict, very angry, you know, very abusive.
Mm-hmm.
So he was not only abusing my mother, but he was abusing me and my younger brother as well. And you know, it was one moment where my mom was 8 months pregnant with my baby brother, and you know, he was beating on her, and I couldn't take it no more. So, you know, I ran up on him, and, you know, he threw me down a flight of stairs through the basement. I mean, I tumbled down backwards, boom, 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 boom. I remember just landing on my feet. Well, not on my feet, but like on the tips of my toes and my hands like this, like Spider-Man. Like, you know how Spider-Man get the pose? And I looked back up the stairs, and he was standing there. But I was a height, though. And I just took back up there after him, you know. And that moment right there made me feel like, you know, I was weak. And so I was like, I made a promise to myself, like, I'll never be weak again. I see he couldn't hurt me. And I made a promise to myself that, you know, I was going to do something to him when I get a chance. You know, I believe my mom, she felt that. She knew that. They separated for a while. We went and stayed in a woman shelter down in Brooklyn. And now, mind you, this is the 80s, 85. Crack epidemic just had started, and it was rough, man. Now, she had a newborn baby, so I'm taking care of a newborn baby, my other little brother, and, holding it down while she, go make ends meet. Uh, she eventually got back with him, but she knew that there wasn't going to be no coexistence with me around, so, she made a choice. She sent us back, my other brother back, kept my baby brother, the baby, which was his son. They stayed there, and I left. And me and my brother left. All she had was enough money to get us to Cleveland, Ohio, man. I'll never forget that. My uncle and my grandmother coming to pick us up, man, in the wee hours of the night, man, because, mind you, I'm 9, 10 years old at the time, so, taking care of my little brother, and we on this bus, the strangers, grown folks, but that right there also kind of like altered me to the point where, as a provider, as the one who gonna hold it down.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I felt, even to this day, I feel like, man, the pressure's on me to make it right. Yeah, for sure.
So so through your childhood, high school, and anything, all the other things that you've been through, in your opinion, what do you think led to incarceration?
I think it was a cumulative of all those things, man. Like, growing up in a male-dominated family, uh, growing up in poverty, it was one point in time, man. Like when I went back and lived with my grandmother, man, we didn't have no lights, no heat for 3 years straight. Summer, winter, fall, summer, winter, spring, fall, summer, winter, spring, fall, and so we had to survive and make way. And I'll never forget my first lick at 12 years old. We had a gambling house behind our crib. And all the ballers, they be back there. All the pushers, everybody, they back there. And my uncle Joe Lee, what I'm saying, he was a big gambler. You know what I mean? He ain't selling no drugs or nothing like that. He was a big time player though, and had a whole lot of women, had money, had a whole lot of pretty cars and stuff like that. But he used to gamble, and so it was summertime, and it was close to the 4th of July, and he was back there gambling, and he talking cash money to all them cats back there. And so he got to the point, he was like, man, I'll let my little nephew shoot. And they like, go ahead, whatever. So all I know, they betting. And I'm shooting. And I'm licking them. Lick after lick after lick. And before, I was in the daze, man. I was just in the zone. So when it was all said and done, I just see my uncle collecting money. I done hit like 11 licks in a row. I just see him collecting money. He collected all the money. And he gave me a knot. Boom, here, nephew. It was $1,200.
So 1,200
$1,200 at 12 years old. I was balling.
Yeah, you was.
I was balling. I'll never forget. That's when the Jordan Pinstripe little hooping little outfits was. Man, I went and got Jordan down, man. You couldn't tell me nothing, man. Yeah, so that was that right there. And living in poverty for so long, saying that right there showed me like, okay, you got to get it out here and get it. You got to get out here and hustle. So, like, I say this to say all that was creating a mentality within me. The competition between my cousins, just friends, neighbors, and then the conditions that we lived in. It produced something in me that was just like, you know what, ain't nobody finna give me nothing. You know what I mean? And I wasn't necessarily in the robbing, but I'm gonna take what's mine. So I took what mine was, in the hustling game, and I did that. And like I said, even though I was talented on the football field, it was still like, what I'm saying, it was still a need, a means and a necessary to have money, especially at those times. Those was the times where the world was changing, and like I said, I started young, just influenced young and understanding young, and it wasn't just me, like that whole era right there. We was kind of fast with it, And I don't know, it's just created a mentality with me. You know what I'm saying? Especially like seeing my older uncles. I got 6 uncles on my mama's side. I got 5 uncles on my pop's side, right? And you know, these are my big brothers. Like I say, I grew up with them. I mean, I grew up really, like literally with my mom being 15 years and my dad being 16 years older than me. And my pops, he the oldest, but he the second oldest of my grandma kids on that side, and my mom the third oldest on my on her side. So you know, everybody else was like my big brothers, and these are the people who I ran with, looked up to, you know, and everybody was doing different things in their own realm. You know what I mean? I was really a sponge back then, and I took the good and I tried to shed away from the bad because you know a lot of my uncles fell to the dope game on the other side where you know what I'm saying they began using their product. You know what I mean? And I saw that too, and I was like, yeah, that ain't for me right there. So what I seen was the almighty dollar in it though, and you know, as they say, money, power, and respect, man. That was what it was. So it all cultivated that type of spirit, that type of you know thing within me. And I would also say this, also you know, first time I ever got a gun put on me, I was 12, and it was by the police coming from a house party where we was just dancing at, and he actually put a PP 29 like to my head with the imprint on it. And I remember my grandmother coming down in her gown because it was right across the street. We stayed in the house, and the projects was right across the street from the house, right? Like literally just across the street. And she must have heard the commotion and whatever, whatever. And she came coming down with her gown on, never forget it. And I'm sitting here laying on this cop car with this gun to my head, I mean, imprinted. And he telling me he'll blow my motherfucking head off.
Mm.
And my grandma was like, hey, 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 that's my grandson. And then he turned the gun on her, man. Like, if you don't get back, I'm gonna shoot you too.
Mm-hmm.
That instant right there made me like, you know what? Yeah, these police ain't my friend. So I also developed a disregard for authority.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was huge. And I mean, I seen my uncles, you know, like I said, everybody was a part of something. And I seen my uncles, you know, put their hands on the police and not let them take nothing from them. And I was going to be the same way. You ain't finna just take nothing from me. It's going to be a day. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I mean, police used to ride around talking about you got your gun on you. Like, you got yours on you? Okay, then. Like, and this is what it was. You know, and that's the mentality that was, I guess, you know, this led me to, you know, being incarcerated, you know, because of my disregard for the law, you know, because from those young ages, and that was just the first instant, you know what I'm saying? I had many more instances, run-ins with the police, but when they, you know, they did a person dirty, you know, for no reason, you know, pull you over. So therefore, you know, it's like, all right, well, I ain't gonna let you pull me over no more.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I'm not gonna make it nowhere easy for you to catch me type
Right.
deal, you know what I mean? Because of those past experiences that you be having where it's like, damn, I can't win with you. Even if I try to cooperate, you steady trying to get a free lick in or, you know, degrade me in some type of way, making me get on the ground with brand new clothes on or anything like that, just being disrespectful, taking your cars and impounding them when they have no right or authority to. So I would say all those instances right there built a built a stain in me from the police. Just like, I ain't finna deal with it, you know. And ultimately, you know, that's what led me. That whole mentality that you know I'm gonna get it by any means.
You think like anything from your childhood that could have been different that may have kind of turned your mind to the other way of uh, embracing police or staying out of, you know,
You know
incarceration?
that would, I mean, to change my mind about the police. That I don't know if anything could have been different because of the climate that we were in then. If maybe I don't know if I didn't have the negative run-ins, Maybe if, because I'm not saying my parents, they did the best they could with what they had and that understanding, and it wasn't just only my parents who was raising me, you know what I'm saying? It was, I had, like I said, I had uncles, aunties, my grandmothers, you know what I mean? They had all a part in it, you know what I mean? I come from good stock. I come from very good stock. It was just, the time and the era, where when you feel that you not getting your due deserts, you know what I mean? You're going to figure out a way to, to get them. And sometimes I believe that we get unfocused
Mm-hmm.
and we focus on the wrong thing. And when I say that is, maybe if I would have known what I know now, yes. I mean, that fast money don't last long. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
Like I mean, it's a person who did an experiment with, somebody who was working for the last 10 years and somebody who was hustling in the game. And it ended up being after those 10 years, the hustler who was hustling in the game, what I'm saying, had nothing to show for. All the cars he had at those moments, what I'm saying, he had nothing to sustain him. And, the guy who had been working and doing his 9 to 5, had a 401k, had $1 million or something put up, and he was living all right, you know what I mean? So, in actuality, the slow game pays out more than the fast game does.
Yeah.
And me understanding that now, yeah, if that was taught or that was known at the time, because sometimes you don't see far enough ahead of you,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying? Because what you see right in front of you is right in front of you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And most of the times people that see the things that's right in front of them, those are the things they want because their imagination or their mind is not going past that. And for me, I seen a lot of lavish things and I wanted them. You know what I mean? I didn't want to be a robber, but I was like, hey, you know what? I can be the best this or the best that, and we're going to get it.
Okay. So, how long were you incarcerated in total, and what was your charges?
Okay. So I was charged with fleeing the police resulting in death. You know, like I said, and that goes along with, my disregard for authority because it was like, you know what? Not today. And I ended up leaving a situation where they were called to. And I just left there at a high rate of speed. It was never like a chase. They would come into a place where I was, but I got little before they got there. And on my way of going to where I was going, I ended up getting in a car accident. You know what I'm saying? I had been drinking the night before, and it was a long night. You know, um, I'm not going to say that that may have a influence on my decision, but I wasn't like impaired to the point that I couldn't drive. But I was angry though about the situation that someone had called the police on me,
Yeah.
and I ended up killing a lady. And you know, I've done things in my life that I intentionally, I intentionally did, and never felt no type of way about it because it was like that was what went along with the game. But to take somebody's life that didn't have nothing to do with nothing, just her and her husband coming back from Target, and I ended up blowing through the light, and I ended up T-boning them, and they had been married for 30 years, man. I was 33 at the time, you know what I mean? So they've been married basically my whole life, and you know, I caused her death that day. And that in itself kind of like that kind of did something to me, man. That kind of sparked something else in me because you know, growing up with those uncles and everything like that, I prided myself on being precise. You know what I'm saying, and not making the same mistakes they made and being better than them. You know what I mean, in the game and everything like that. So when that happened, that was like a blow at my ego. Like that was,
Yeah.
it. I describe it as like, yeah, man, that made me want. It took my gangster card. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
man, how can I, you know what I'm saying? How can I continue that type of life? And I done made this huge mistake, and I grew up you know, with good women in my family. So, you know, just putting myself in someone else's shoes, you know what I'm saying, that knowing that, you know, she was 50 years old at the time and she had 5 children, you know what I mean, where, yeah, man, I could relate to that. And so it was like, that in itself, I don't know, it just sparked something else in me that made me loosen up on, you know, the person who I was, you know, big time.
So how long were you incarcerated?
Um, I ended up um, I ended up going to trial because of the addedness that they was trying to put to it. I admitted to what I did. I caused the accident and everything like that, and I ended up getting found guilty of 6 of the 7 charges they put on me, and the judge stretched it out as long as he could. Even though it was my first felonies in life, he gave me 20 and a half years, 246 months. And I had to serve 13 and a half of those months. So I served 13 and a half years in the Minnesota State Prison Department.
So what was the first day like
In prison,
in prison?
mm, you know, just even being in the county jail, I was in the county jail for like 251 days. And so mind you now, like, I went from, you know, the longest I ever had been locked up was like for 4 days. You know what I'm saying? I had been to jail numerous of times, but, you know, 36 hours hold, you know, PC, let you go. Uh, that's probable cause, not protected custody. But just things like that. And then, or I bond straight out, you know. So I went from the longest ever being locked up from 4 days to, you know, 13 and a half years. So my first day in prison, you know, being in the county so long, you know, having talks with brothers about the joint and everything like that, you know, and then having 2 of my uncles who had breathed on me and just let me know, you know, what to expect. You know, and like any other situations, you know what I'm saying, my first day was um, watching the lay of the land,
Mm-hmm.
just seeing what was what, paying attention. Even when it would look like I wasn't paying attention, I was paying attention to my surroundings because I was taught to be aware is to be alive. So, you know, I took everything in, uh, and I just went along with it. I kept my mouth shut for the most part. Uh, and I'm not going to say I was afraid because I think I pushed the fear down. It was like the fear wasn't there. And I had prepared myself mentally, like, this is what it is right now. Or, you know, or I really didn't want to face the reality at the moment. So I wasn't really thinking like on an emotional standpoint
Mm-hmm.
of fear or anything like that. It was more so, let me just get through this and I'm going to get back to who I am. Let me get through this. You know, one of my uncles told me, he's like, you know, nephew, keep waking up.
Yeah.
You know, and I had a cousin, one of my older cousins that I used to kick it with all the time. And he had said something that I didn't understand at the moment. But after time went on, I understood what he was talking about. And he's like, man, they really fucked up giving a person like you that much time to think,
Yeah.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
And at first, you know, I'm looking at him like, what is you talking about? But I understand him knowing who I am and knowing that, you know, I wasn't probably just going to waste my time in the joint. You know what I'm saying? I was probably going to be thinking of my comeback. And he was right. He was right. I mean, it opened up my mind to a lot of things when I was in the joint and just thinking back to every crossing the road where I had the opportunity to go right or left, and I took those lefts, and it wasn't right, you know. So those situations that had me go back and look at everything, man. My whole childhood, my whole bringing up. So like the things that I just spoke about earlier about my childhood, man, I really went and answered those questions in my life, you know, on how that drove me that way and why I never made the decision to go the other way. you know.
So, 13 years, that's a long time, and
Yeah, it is.
it's a lot of time to, as you say, think. But what other type of things did you do to kind of make that time go by?
And, it's one thing I understood, like, the judge had told me, he's like, the reason why I'm giving you this time, much time, because you was a menace to society. And I was like, I couldn't understand that, right? Him not knowing me, you know, uh, especially like, understandable that I was not an angel in no sense of the word. So, I've done some things that, just ain't never got, jammed up for it. But to say this and only thing you know of me is from paper. And my paper is, these are my first felonies ever in life. Like, how could you say that? So it was like, you know what? Not even to prove I'm wrong, but to get an understanding, like, you don't know me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I come from, like I told you, I come from good stock. I come from smart people. And that time made me tap into who I truly am. Uh, that whole time, I never read a hood book, anything like that. I ain't got nobody against hood books or anything like that, but it just wasn't for me. It was like, it was either something spiritual, something some self help, what I'm saying, for me to understand who I am, or it was about some business where, what I'm saying, like I can take this thing that I was doing and create business out of the acronym of, what I'm saying, of the lessons that I had learned, what I'm saying, throughout the hustling. So I took that time, and also I was fortunate, man. I was super fortunate to my first year in Stillwater, 2010. Uh, I came across this group called Restorative Justice, and it was Restorative Justice Council, and I was already doing some work with somebody from the world who I did a PSA for, just about drinking and driving and about things like that, right? And he was pretty big in the news. He was on the news every other day, and so some of the ladies who were there at Stillwater was like, "How you know him?" And I'm like, I just know him from DWI court. But I used to, speak at the first offender DWI courts and stuff like that, to get time or whatever knocked down. And so they was like, you should come check out the RJ Council. So I went and took the Restorative Justice class 101. And the gentlemen, man, that were facilitating that class, man, they opened their arms to me, man, and embraced me. And when I learned the philosophy and things like that, it was like, man, it reminded me of my younger days as a child, what I'm saying, on how, what I'm saying, like the community raised the kids, you know what I mean? I mean, we all made decisions to do our things, but in all actuality, man, they was all pointing us in the right direction. And so when I found RJ, man, I took the class. Matter of fact, I took the class twice,
Mm-hmm.
back to back, right? 6 week class, you know what I'm saying? And by that time, they had asked me to be a part of the council. And the council, it did way more than just that class, you know what I'm saying? Like these men that were on this council, they were looked up throughout the prison community, you know what I'm saying, as, those ones with wisdom and understanding. Like people sought them out to, to share their grievances or anything, just, and they were well respected.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think organically, man, I kind of just felt like right along in there with them, because I had already started, making that transition of being accountable for what I had done. And I was looking for other ways to, to make that living amends, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I saw that through the RJ Council, I'm like, she can't, she can't live, right? So right now I need to live for her. And I need to live for her in the right type of way. So, uh, being encountered with the RJ Council, man, and being a part of that, just open up way more ways that I can give back, so people don't sit in them same places I sat in.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because it's a whole different type of feeling, man, where you're responsible for taking somebody's life, bro, that you ain't mean to take. You know what I mean? It's a certain type of, you know, guilt or remorse that's on you. You know that it's like, yeah, you got to do something different. So yeah, that's how I spent my time, man. I spent my whole time giving back. You know what I'm saying? And I gave in that community that was inside the prison at that moment, those who I gave back to.
So a lot of people on the outside, they watch shows about prison, lockup, or whatever. Kind of, what are some things that people um, don't really know or understand about prison?
You know, I think the misconception about prison is, man, that everybody there is bad, and that's not the case. You know, people that have made bad choices go to prison, and you know, I say this to say, you know, everybody is a DWI away from going to prison.
Yeah,
Everybody.
we really are. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And can't nobody say, I mean, you know, those who probably never drank before in their life can never say, oh, I ain't never drove drunk before. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And you just think about just all the times that a person has drove drunk and just, you know, was lucky enough to make it home and not hurt nobody. You know what I mean? So everyone is just that far away from being there. And I think the difference is, it's like, you know, those who haven't been to prison or have, you know, or don't understand what's in prison, they just figure like, oh, you have to be the worst of the worst to go there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not true. You know, I've met some very intelligent scholars inside prison, some very honorable people. And you would think, man, I've met friends in prison that's friends to me right now, that friends that I wish I had. I wish we had these type of relationships before prison, because we probably would have never went.
Mm-hmm.
But we were different people then.
Yeah.
And, you know, fortunately and unfortunately, prison helped cultivate us in a way where, you know what I'm saying, we started to make those transitional changes within ourselves to not only better ourselves, but, you know, the men that I come in contact with, man, we want to better, you know what I'm saying, our families. We want to better, you know, our brothers that's next to us. We want a better world, you know. And so I think the misconception about prison is just everybody is bad and nobody's good. But that's far as from the truth, man. There's some valuable individuals there, and some honorable individuals there that, man, like I would put my life in those men's hand and not think twice about it.
So how long have you been out? And kind of when you did get out, did you experience any like culture shock from, just the way things were different?
So I've been home now for 2 years and what's this month? The ninth month, 5 months. 2 years and 5 months. Um, Culture shock. You know, it's funny, man, that you know, I'm kind of built different, and I know certain people do have this, but I'm built different. And one of my other uncles told me this, and I told you two of my uncles. The one of them told me, you know what I'm saying, just keep waking up, nephew. And that was all that was. It's telling me, like, you know what I'm saying, continue to focus on waking up, then you're gonna eventually get out of there, right? And my other uncle told me, he said, nephew, you keep your mind out here because you somebody out here. You know what I mean? And that always put in the mind, because that's true. I was somebody out here. You know what I mean? I was a friend. I was a father. I was a son. I was a brother. You know what I mean? I was somebody. And I still am. And so I kept that in my mind, where basically what that meant to me was, don't become institutionalized. You know what I mean? You know, it's funny, and I'm going to be real 100 right now, right? You know, my first day home, uh, my daughter came and picked me up the next day. Mind you, she was 12 years old when I had left. She 24. You know, when I come home, right? So she driving. You know, and it's a shock. She come pick her dad up driving, right? And you know, we go to Target. You know, to get some. You know, at the halfway house, you get some fusing tools. You know, hygiene and everything like that. Some socks, drawers, and everything like this, right? So the only thing that shocked me, and this is way true. Only thing that shocked me, man, was like the way people wearing spandex these days. That's it. I was just like, my head was on a swivel. Like, oh damn, okay, this is what we doing. Other than that, I mean, I was good because it's like, I've been here before. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't like, and even though I was gone for a long time, you know what I'm saying, I didn't feel no those type of angst. Even when I first drove a car, you know what I'm saying, I thought like it may be something weird, you know what I mean? Especially like the last time I drove a car, I killed someone, you know what I mean? And fortunately it wasn't like that. You know what I mean? I think what I did over those years, in a way, I conditioned myself and understood myself. It prepared me for when I did come home. You know what I'm saying? Not to have those types of hangups, those type of roadblocks. Ultimately, I still had roadblocks because of having a past. You know what I mean? Certain places didn't want to rent to me and stuff like that. But even with that, I didn't take no for an answer, and I went to the next place, and I eventually got what I needed and wanted. You know.
So, since you've been out, kind of what you've been doing, what you have going on today, and kind of what type of work are you in now?
Well, it's funny, right? I'm in a unique situation. Uh, Mind you, like I said, doing 13 years, coming home, and you know, uh, my thought was I would be back into doing my own personal businesses. You know what I mean? Entertainment company and clothing line, right? So, I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit, and I felt like this is what I was going to be doing. But I ended up getting a phone call from a friend that I met in prison, and I met this friend through restorative justice and on the Restorative Justice Council, and she was actually the Restorative Justice coordinator down at the Minnesota Department of Corrections, right? And she called me up because some things had happened where I had got released and got rearrested for something that I did not do, and they have finally, figured it out and released me back after 4.5 months. But it made a lot of people upset, so she was called to check up on me, and she was telling me about an internship at the Minnesota Department of Correction about restorative justice. And I was like, I just said it jokingly, like, man, that sounds like something I should be doing. And I guess that statement, she took to heart, you know what I mean? Because she seen me in action, speaking and teaching and facilitating restorative justice while I was incarcerated. And probably like, I'm going to say, man, a month later, she hit me up and was like, hey, how would you like a job for the DLC? So at first I'm like, a job for the DLC? She's like, yeah. She explained to me the job description, and that I would be working out of central office, and I would be able to go and back inside the prison, and and do restorative justice things. And at first I thought about it, and I was like, yeah, man, I just did all this time, man. I ain't trying to go back and try the joint. But what I realized though, man, I really enjoyed teaching. You know what I'm saying? I really enjoyed, turning that light on into, to younger brothers or even older brothers, you know what I'm saying? Whether that be white or black, or native or Asian, you know what I mean? Whoever, you know what I'm saying? And turning that light on. So I was like, man, well, there's an opportunity right here, man. And at first, it was like, okay, yeah, sure. You know what I mean? And the whole time I was really thinking like, it's really going to happen. You know what I mean? So we went through all the red tape, man. I did everything, a regular DLC employee would do, in getting hired by the DLC. And it was one exception that, what I'm saying, I couldn't pass. And, that was the background check. But they already knew that. They knew my whole history of my background. So, our commissioner, Paul Chanel, man, who's a great dude, man. He took a chance, and he was like, you know what, I'm gonna exempt all that. And if that's the only issue that people will have about you being hired, and my the head of my unit, Liz Richards, I'm sorry, went and asked people like, they wish to hire this person, and he has, a history of incarceration, what would be, your no against this? Everybody was just saying, well, I mean, if he can pass the background, I have no problem. So it was like, okay, well, he can't pass the background, but we're going to get it exempt. So now you have no issue. So he's just an employee, right? And, fortunately, that happened, man. I went from a red badge to a blue badge.
Yeah, that's what's up.
you know, uh,
Yeah.
One of the first in DLC history. And, I did that. I got hired by the DLC 6 months, literally after leaving the halfway house.
Oh wow.
Yes. I think that's a story within itself. So I went from, being locked up and in a place that, that held me captive for 13 years to now, uh, in theory, I have the keys to all the joints. I can go in any one of them, that I seem or feel fit to go into. Uh, I'm actually the head now of all the restorative justice councils throughout, Minnesota prisons, and we have 10 facilities where, we have 8 councils in each of those in those facilities, except Togo and the other CIP program. But other than that, yeah, I get to do a lot of things. I get to create um, programs. Uh, we right now got a mentorship program that we started under the restorative justice umbrella that's out in Stillwater Prison right now. So it's funny that I'm in this position right where I am today, and I say that to say this, man. Like sometimes you don't know what God is putting you through or allowing you to go through
Mm-hmm.
because you need to learn something. You know what I mean? And it's something of value. At the end of this, and you know, I laugh sometimes at God like, man, you made me learn the hard way, but you got me to a point where I understand the need now, and I understand what it takes for people to tap into their, I'm not even gonna say they higher selves, but their most valuable selves. And restorative justice helped me do that.
Yeah. Congratulations on that, cause that's big getting a DOC from where you came from.
Yeah, it was huge.
Beside that, do you have any other things you want to accomplish?
Yes, I do. I believe there's not only my story, and I appreciate you doing my story today, and I hope people feel inspired by my story. One thing about my story though, it's not over yet.
All
You
right.
know what I mean? It's still being written, right? And it's a lot of people that's around me, that are part of my story that I feel need light on them. You know what I mean? Because it's a lot of people who spoke light into me to got me actually to where I am today. And that being said, like being a part of all the restorative justice councils throughout the DOC, I think just shining a light on those men and women who do the work behind the prison wall and giving that understanding, like, because certain people think you're just in prison doing time, but it's actual people in there really doing some work, man. And, they're doing some work not only, you know, catering to the needs of their community that they live in at that moment, but even the communities out here that we live in. They do fundraisers, they do all types of sorts of things to, send monies to certain victim advocacy, restorative justice programs in the community to help fund and help with their funding and everything like that. And I think it's important for those stories to get out. Uh, I've come in contact with a lot of people that have this lived experience, and we have created a RJ committee here at the DLC for the DLC. And what that does is help guide and give advice to those who are in the DLC higher ups who may not have this lived experience, but us coming from the understanding of how it took for us to change. And if this is about rehabilitation, then these are the things, these are the people that you need to be talking to. So right now we got a seat at the table, and I think it's going to be even bigger than that because we're connecting with a lot of community centers and groups where we're all striving for the same thing, and that's to tap into our brothers and sisters that that lived and grew the way we grew, and didn't figure that we had any other options but the options that were that we saw, that we couldn't see. So just to understand and to be able to give those people these options and give these people that they can look at and see that who have went through these things and are now on the other side of those things and are thriving in their lives, providing for their families and more importantly, helping change people's lives, that is not over, and that we want to inspire people and do that. So yeah, the sky's the limit right now, man. I feel a lot of greatness coming about.
That's good. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
So far, your story's still being written.
Mm-hmm.
What's the most important lesson you've learned in life right now?
Most important lesson I've learned in life, man, is that I am and I do have value.
So, what's your greatest strengths, best qualities?
I got a lot of those, but I would say my best one is doing things where people said it couldn't be done. And I'm not saying the impossible or anything like that, but I believe, what I'm saying, that if whatever we can put our mind to truly, and I know it's cliche and it's been said before, but we can actually do these things. You know what I mean? Uh, People see me every day coming back inside the joint, and I know and I feel that they're inspired because they like, man, this brother was walking this way while he was here, and he walked straight up into this, and now he walking straight back in here, showing us that this is possible. And you know, I never like getting put in a box, man.
Yeah.
Like, literally and figuratively, I don't like getting put in a box. Don't put me to one category because I'm more than just that. You know what I mean? And I'm not just saying, what I'm saying, but it is kind of a motivation to the point where I'm gonna prove you wrong, again and again. That's what it is, And so I think my quality is my resilience. Yeah, I think I got good resilience, man, and yeah, I've tapped into some things within myself that has given me the confidence. You know what I'm saying? To even though when I have those stumbling blocks or those hurdles, that I can continue to push through. And I have a support. I got a lot of people supporting me too as well, man. Like I say, I can't say enough about Sarah King, uh, my unit director, Liz Richards, and Sarah. She's the RJ coordinator at the DLC, and my brothers Jerome Nunn, Coley Gates, Fong Lee, and Kenny Pilcher, and all my brothers that was on the RJ Council with me, Barry Dobb, uh, Doppler, Joe Spann, uh, Leon, all these brothers, man, that poured into me. And I know I'm missing some people right now, but they know I got love for them, and those people inspire me, man. And I don't just do this, you know what I mean? I don't just live for me no more. You know what I mean? I used to be very selfish, you know what I'm saying? Now I'm selfless.
So there's right now it's juveniles who's the juvenile crime is kind of out of control here locally. So what message would you have for kind of young kids who's coming up and think that they got to get it the way you did?
Mm. You know, I would want them to, not even to find, but I would want them to understand, and I would want people to put this in them that they do have value other than what they think that they're made to do. I know a lot of things right now is about instant gratification, and I would say I would let them know, man, just be patient. Like, and I know that sounds like a hard thing to do, especially like when everything around you is moving and you seeing people doing this and doing that and having this and having that. But I think patience truly wins the race. You know what I mean? And wins the race in the correct way. Because by me being impatient in life, I want to rush through everything. And like I told you, starting to drive at 10 years old, you know what I mean? I was just rushing into life, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And wanting to be an adult, you know what I'm saying? And understand, man, being an adult come with adult issues and problems.
Yeah, exactly.
Adult bills, you know what I mean? And those things take, some time for you mentally to develop, to understand and to process those things. So, I would say, man, just be patient and find some people, man, that's not pushing you to do too much too fast. Because when you're around that crowd that is like pushing you to do too much too fast, and even when you know you're not ready for it, and then you find yourself in a situation where now you can't get out of, yeah, man, think about that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Think about that. You want some people that you can grow up with and be a kid.
Yeah.
Just be a kid. Just be a kid. Because, I bet you go back and talk to a lot of adults, man. They wish they can go back and be kids right now. Because this grown-up thing ain't always what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
I mean, even though, you know what I'm saying, you got to do it, you know what I mean? But rushing to do it, just be patient.
Okay.
Be patient, man. And I will also say just not to be afraid to seek help, and to find some real mentors, man. Or if somebody trying to pour something in you that's good, man, have the patience to sit down and listen. And not only listen, take heed.
Yeah.
Take heed, especially those of us with these lived experience that walked through those doors and did that time, that came from the same streets and neighborhoods that you have. Man, trust and believe. They have a wealth of knowledge. And they not just doing this to preach to you. You know what I mean? They doing this to save you a whole lot of unwasted time. You know what I mean? Because a lot of time gets wasted when you're locked away. You know what I mean? Unless you're doing something different constructively with that time. But it's still time away from your family, your loved ones, kids, whatever. You know what I mean? And that's something you cannot get back. Can't get back time. Just like you can't get back life. You can't get back none of those.
I definitely agree. So we're gonna go ahead and get ready to wrap this up. But one more question. So is there anything else you would like people to know about yourself?
Of course, I said already that my story not over. I want you guys to stay tuned because with Lucid Love Society, we plan to get even more stories out, like mine and similar to mine, that those who have spent those times behind those walls and the things that they're doing, so that, you can understand when these brothers and sisters come home, that you can open your arms and it's okay. It's okay because they've done the work, because they've been doing the work while they've been behind those bars. So I would just say, look out, man. If you see me out there, say what's up and see what we can link up and do. Tap in.
All right. Yeah. Well, that's it. I really do appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.